To order the April 5th meeting of the City of Keystone Heights. We will start our evening with the invocation by Pastor Mark Southam of Fresh Start Fellowship. Pastor Southam, would you like to come up to the podium? If you'll stand with me, that'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Harold Sanders, retired U.S. Army Corporal, Past Post Commander, American Legion, Post 202.
Bow your heads with me, please. Lord, I pray for the men and women who have assembled here this evening, those who lead, those who are bringing plans, those who are bringing concerns. Lord, these people love this community. They live here. They care about the people who work here, the people who live here, the people who spend time here. Lord, I pray that not only would you bless this meeting tonight, but you would bless and protect all who are assembled here. Keep them healthy, keep them safe, protect their families. Lord, I pray that the decisions that are made here tonight would be made with careful wisdom. Lord, I pray that the problems that are presented here tonight would be addressed and would be taken seriously. Lord, I pray that the plans here tonight, your hand would be on those for the improvement of this community. Lord, I just pray all this in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both for being here this evening. We appreciate it. Ms. Rakowski, would you like to call roll, please?
Mayor Lake,
Here.
Vice Mayor Hart,
Here.
Councilman Brown,
Here.
Councilwoman Kelly,
Here.
Councilman Peoples.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We would like a motion on the floor to amend the agenda.
Yes, Madam Mayor, there are two items that I would like to add to the agenda if it's the will of the council. The first item will be the first presentation under number 2, the Keystone Heights Elementary School artwork. The second item will be considered 9E. It's Paddle LLC. It's an agreement that the Clay County has entered into with the Paddle Company, and I'd like to go into detail a little bit more as we enter on later on down the agenda.
I'll make a motion, we amend the agenda. Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Is there any public comment cards?
I have one, Madam Mayor. I have Miss Tina Bullock.
Excellent. Welcome.
Thank you, Council. I appreciate it very much. Of course, there are several items on here that I'm very interested in, but the first one is the 3A, which is the Kiwanis Parade, and I know you'll highly consider that. The times we couldn't do the parade was very disheartening to our club and the community as a whole. We probably had more comments about that, not having the parade, than anything. And I want to put it very close on your radar, but I'm hoping that the city will assist our President Todd Beal in far as getting the road closed, because that is always a very difficult job to make happen. There's a lot of pieces and parts, as Mr. Brown knows. He's helped me on many occasions when I was a parade chairman. And so if you'll just assist in that particular area, I will be very grateful, and I'm sure our Lake Region Kiwanis Club will be as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Proclamations. Ms. Rakowski, would you like to start with the Keystone Heights Elementary School artwork, please?
Absolutely. We have a PowerPoint to share.
And just quickly, this was the idea to mimic what happens at the Clay County Board of County Commissioners. They show artwork from school children around the county. And so our art teacher here at Keystone Elementary thought it might be a wonderful idea if we got to see some of the art that's being produced out of Keystone Elementary.
Absolutely. And so if you'll move on to the next slide. Sure.
Would you like to read the
Ms.
next?
Conrad reached out to the city a couple of weeks ago asking if we could please participate for the month of April. And they are considering bringing some of these items on display down at City Hall and then possibly other businesses around the community. I offered up the use of our facility as the PowerPoint presentation that they do at the county as well. So she put together a quick slide or a quick presentation of 8 of their talented artists at Keystone Heights Elementary School. And we are asking, we're doing a lot tonight. We have a hybrid. We've got people on Zoom that are looking online. We want to make sure that everybody else online can see us as well. So the first artwork is by Miss Madeline, who is in first grade.
Oh, that's good.
Our second piece is by Miss Laura, who's in fourth grade. Our third piece is Brighton, who's in fifth grade. Our fourth piece is Olivia, who's in fourth grade, I'm sorry. Our fifth piece is Miss Charlotte in second grade. Kylar, who's in fifth grade. Our seventh piece is Bella in fourth grade. And last but not least, we have Bristol in kindergarten.
Oh, those are great. Yay.
So that is our Keystone Heights Elementary School Works of Art for this month.
All right. Our next proclamation is a proclamation regarding Water Conservation Month. And we do have a representative tonight from the Water Management District, Mr. Craig. Would you like to come up? Council, would you like to come down? We're going to do a lot of up and down tonight. Okay, we're going to come over this side and stay on council. All right, guys. Proclamation, whereas water is a basic and essential need of every living creature, and whereas clean and sustainable water resources are vital to Florida's environment, economy, and quality of life, and whereas more than 90% of Florida's drinking water is supplied by underlying aquifers, and our quality of life and the economy depend upon a reliable, clean, and available supply of water and a healthy environment. And whereas the state of Florida, the St. Johns River Water Management District, and the City of Keystone Heights are working together to increase awareness about the importance of water conservation and to increase their efforts to conserve water. And whereas all water users, including residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural, institutional, hospitality, private citizens, and others, can make positive contributions to reduce water use and protect Florida's water resources. Whereas the state of Florida has designated April, typically a dry month when water demands are most acute, Florida's Water Conservation Month, to educate citizens about how they can help save Florida's precious water resources. Now, therefore, the City of Keystone Heights City Council hereby proclaims the month of April 2021 as Water Conservation Month in the City of Keystone Heights, and call upon the citizens and businesses of Keystone Heights and surrounding areas to help protect this precious resource by practicing water-saving measures and become more aware of the need to conserve water. Adopted this 5th day of April, 2021, City Council of Keystone Heights. Is there a motion to adopt? So moved. Is there a second? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, proclamation passes 5-0. And I think I have a better opportunity.
Good to see you. Thank you.
You guys can stand here.
Wait, we all just stay for a picture.
Picture. There you go. There's your proclamation. All right, thank you, sir. Nice to have you. Don't feel obligated to stay here and watch this entire wonderful thing. Good, congratulations. Okay, so our next presentation is from the Lake Region Development Corporation. Mr. Cornegay, are you presenting? There's a combination of you and Miss James?
Yes.
Yeah, it's cold, right?
Well, good evening, Mayor, City Council. Scott Cornegay, Executive Director of the Lake Region Development Corporation. It's my pleasure to be here with you tonight. Thank you for having me. We wanted to, as the first quarter of 2021 ends, we'd like to give you an update on where we are, where we've been over the last 3 months, and where we're headed into the future. A lot of this information that you'll see as a council here tonight, you've seen before, but we decided that this would be a good opportunity to go over it again so that we can reach more folks as part of our outreach and communication plan. Next. All right, very good. So some of these slides, we're going to go in a little bit more depth than others. The first one here, we'd like to share our vision with everyone. The vision of the LRDC is one of a vibrant destination location with an enhanced quality of life where recreation, natural resources, and the economy thrive as the result of fostering communication, cooperation, collaboration with all stakeholders through evidence-based policies, programs, and practices. So as you can see, we've put a good deal of thought. Our board of directors worked hard on this vision statement, and we believe that we're headed in the right direction. Next. On to the mission. As you know, whenever a new startup, a new corporation of any type comes into being, one of the first things you do is create a mission and a vision statement. It's very key to the success, the overall success of the corporation. So I want to go into a little bit more detail regarding the mission at this point. Save Our Lakes is a citizen-organized and led grassroots organization which focused public, media, and policymaker attention on the significant problem and serious consequences of low lake levels. Their continued activism helped mobilize the community in support of a solution. With the leadership of state lawmakers who represent the region, a science-based solution, an aquifer recharge through pumping water from an overflowing Black Creek to restore the two greatly diminished lakes, was funded by the Florida legislature and is being implemented by the St. Johns River Water Management District. The mission of SOLO has been achieved. A need for a community organization which would inform residents on the progress of the lake restoration project and optimize opportunities for residents associated with restoration of the two lakes was identified by civic leaders. The Lake Region Development Corporation, a not-for-profit Florida corporation, was organized to fulfill this mission. In its first year, the organizational activities of the LRDC have been to constitute a board of directors, hire an executive director, approve bylaws, form a partnership with the City of Keystone Heights, build stakeholder relationships, conduct a strategic planning session, and begin building community partnerships. Next. Here you see our board of directors. As you can see, it's a very a talented group. Each member brings a distinct skill set to the table, and we're very excited about their leadership moving forward. Mr. Todd Bills, Mr. Don Bell, Ms. Vivian Katz-James, Ms. Lynn Rutkowski, and Mr. Derek Thomas make up the board. And then, of course, I'm the executive director. Next. All right, and these are this is some of the material that I mentioned earlier that you've seen before, but like I said, we wanted everyone to have the opportunity to get the full backstory on what LRDC is all about. We'll start with the Black Creek Water Resource Development Project. As most of you know, it's a $50 million plus aquifer recharge project that is funded by the state of Florida. It will consist of an intake station at the south prong of Black Creek up on 16 near the animal control facility. And then a 17-mile long, 30-inch pipeline will be constructed to dispense the water on Camp Blanding into Alligator Creek, which is part of that chain of lakes that feeds Lake Brooklyn and Lake Geneva. This system is designed to flow up to 10 million gallons per day, 70% of the time. That's just another way of saying that the average flow would be somewhere around 7,000 gallons per day. Now, what sort of economic impact do we imagine that this would cause? Obviously, when you have the lake levels rising, property values are going up, which is a good thing. And then, of course, increased tourism as well. You can expect vacation rentals, the demand to increase for vacation rentals, and also the price that the homeowner will be able to command for these rentals will go up. And then, of course, the impact upon local businesses. We should see, an uptick in the economy and the overall economic engine. I'm reminded of a story Councilman Brown told me years ago. He said that when the lakes were full, people would come in on Fridays, and all the shop owners and all the stores in town, their shelves were full. And then on Monday morning, you'd try to go buy something in one of these places, and there wasn't anything to buy. They were all sold out. So that's the sort of success that we want to see come back. And that's also one of the challenges that LRDC wants to help the local businesses address going forward. Next. So this is just a very simple rendering of what we're looking at here in the Keystone Heights Lake region. When the lakes rise to their normal levels, you're looking at increased residential property values, more recreation opportunities, and more opportunities for business. So this is the key and critical component of what we expect to experience when these lakes return to their former glory. Next. So also one of our initial objectives was to identify stakeholders in the area. And these just represent a few. There are several more that we've identified. I just didn't have time or didn't have room to put them all on the same slide. Of course, the City of Keystone Heights, the Clay County Board of County Commissioners, Clay Electric Co-op, Chemours, Vulcan Materials, Keystone Heights Airport, Clay Tourism Development Commission, Florida Wildlife Commission, Clay County Utility Authority, and the St. Johns River Water Management District, just to name a few. We have had conversations with all but maybe one of these agencies so far, and we continue to reach out, and we'll get into a little bit later our plan for bringing this group together for a meeting. Next. So why the Lake Region Development Corporation? What are the real needs and benefits of forming this not-for-profit? We intend to plan and oversee regional, sustainable growth and development. I've always said that if you don't manage growth, it will manage you. So the idea with LRDC is to get ahead of this growth, determine what we want it to look like. And when I say we, I'm talking about the City of Keystone Heights and all the stakeholders in the region. We will link government, businesses, community organizations, and the general public to collaboratively establish community goals. We will also be a problem solver. We have resources in place to address wicked problems. If you've ever heard that phrase before, we're well positioned. We have some experts that we can resource those sorts of things too. We're very excited about that. And we want to seek new opportunities for recreation and businesses. We have some ideas in the works. We'll share those with you at a later time. But like I said, it's a matter of coming up with what we want this area to look like, not what someone else wants. At the risk of offending our friends to the north, we don't want to be another Middleburg. We want to be Keystone Heights. We will leverage financial resources, technical expertise, and experiential knowledge of community partners, promote shared economic benefits for small businesses, and partner with the Clay Tourism Development Council, which we've already done, and I'll share more about that with you in a moment. We're going to protect the Keystone Lakes with environmentally appropriate ecotourism. Once again, that ties into the TDC and some of the ideas we have in mind for attracting ecotourism. Next. Initial objectives. They call them startups for a reason. It's not as easy as you might think. It takes time, it takes a great deal of effort, it takes a great deal of planning and coordination. And one of the first priorities or objectives is to obtain funding or secure funding. And we were very fortunate to secure funding from the City of Keystone Heights to get us off the ground and to meet the needs early on. We will be pursuing other stakeholders. I believe I'm going to talk about that. Yep, I'm going to talk about that on the next slide. And identify community, regional, state partners, and stakeholders, which you saw that we have partially done that on the previous slide. We will develop an ongoing stakeholder communication plan through the use of surveys, community meetings, and our social media platforms. We have a Facebook page and a website under construction. The Facebook page should roll out middle of the week next week, towards the end of the week, and then of course we'll have need a little bit more time to get the website up. We will conduct needs assessments and establish priorities, and we will create an economic development plan with essential goals, timelines, and budget, and we'll do that in consort with the Clay County Economic Development Corporation. Next. So these are some of the things that we have currently underway at the end of Q1. Secure funding, as I said, we secured the funding from the city. And then about a week and a half ago, we met with leaders at Chemours and essentially asked for $100,000 funding the first year. We're going through that process now. They are very excited about it, and I don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse, but it looks like the chances of that happening are very good. We have identified community, regional, state partners, and stakeholders, as we mentioned before. Tomorrow morning, I am meeting with a manufacturing company over at the beach to take a look at the possibilities for an aluminum floating dock. We'll be trying to get that underway and under construction here in the next few weeks. One of the other initiatives that we have been working on, as a matter of fact, I talked with Councilman Brown about it today. I met with officials from FWC, Florida Wildlife Commission, regarding removing the vegetation at the lake, at Lake Geneva. There are a couple of options, both of them fairly expensive. One is grass carp. There's a program for introducing grass carp into the water body, and they consume the vegetation over time. We don't know if it will be the best solution or not, but it is a solution. And then there will be, next week I meet with a biologist. They're sending a biologist out to take a look and consider some other options for cleaning out the lake. Also, we are in the process of coordinating a business summit with the Tourism Development Council, the TDC, to help our businesses and offer some analytics and marketing solutions for them in advance of this uptick in economic activity. We also have a potential solution for the traffic problem at the intersection of 21 and 100. I have met with FDOT officials, and I have a meeting tomorrow with the realtor that has the property listed on the southeast corner of the intersection. So we're going to go over some possible solutions and ideas about improving that intersection. I think we can all agree that that is a priority for our city. And all these things came, by the way, all of these initiatives and ideas came out of conversations that I had with the five of you, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate your input and how much I look forward to continuing the conversation as we go forward. Next. So this is just a pretty simple indication of where we're going here. We start with the prospect of cleaning out Alligator Creek again. It's been probably 10 or 12 years probably since it was done the last time. It needs to be done again in advance of the water flow. And then also we mentioned cleaning out Lake Geneva. And then the showcase project on Geneva would be the floating dock. And then downtown beautification, that speaks directly to the China Chef. And then, of course, key and critical to the success of the region as a whole is the partnership with the airport. So we're looking forward on building upon that, and I hope we have some good news to report in that regard very soon. So as you can see, a historic and transformative event is now underway. To realize the greatest value for citizens from lake restoration, the LRDC was formed and operates to inform, engage, plan, prepare, and provide needed services. It is the nerve center to receive and transmit information, and it is the organizing entity to foster economic, social, cultural, and recreational benefits from renewal of Lake Brooklyn and Lake Geneva. This first ever 2-year strategic plan enables the LRDC and the citizens served by the LRDC to optimize economic and social opportunities and outcomes, ensure strong organizational performance, organize around the results, aligned ends with means, and lead change. Successful strategic planning is research-driven, evidence-based, and outcome-oriented. It capitalizes on strategic management to attain identified objectives. Measurement and accountability are critical. Management scholar Dr. Peter Drucker once observed that the best way to predict the future is to create it. Through our continued commitment to strategic planning, the Lake Region Development Corporation seeks to create the best possible future for all our residents and visitors. Next. So that's the end of the presentation, and I have Miss Vivian Katz James, the president of our board of directors. Are you up with us, Vivian?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am, we certainly can. Were you able to hear all that?
There's a paid commercial, right? Can you hear me now? Okay, I couldn't hear everything that Scott had to say. I'm sorry I'm not there with you guys. But Solo has been actively seeking recovery for the area lakes. And the city of Keystone Heights has been a partner in that effort. The Black Creek Project means recovery is at our doorstep. This project creates terrific opportunities to revive our lake community, to be a family-oriented recreation vacation destination. How that happens is extremely important. A team effort is needed. And that's pretty much what Lake Region Development Corporation is all about. We met with each of you in February, and we asked you to be founding supporters of LRDC. With your investment of $50,000, the city of Keystone Heights, the main benefactor of our efforts, will be a part of one collective voice. The LRDC was established to promote the common good of the lake region as redevelopment becomes a reality. Before we can get to brick and mortar projects, like any startup nonprofit corporation, we need to establish who the stakeholders are, the funding sources for the necessary startup expenses, stakeholders' vision for our revitalized community. And that's where we are now. Since your vote in February to invest $50,000, we've appointed a 5-member board. I think a very strong board. Your city manager is our vice chair, and we've hired our director, Scott Cornegay. We're actively working on a website and other social media options. We've participated in a half-day retreat to develop our strategic plan as we move forward. And we've begun reaching out to potential fund sources and are receiving very positive feedback at this time. I think I could hear Scott in the end talking about some of those. So LRDC will be proactive in our efforts, and we will keep you informed each step of the way. And I thank you again for your support and for your confidence in what we're getting ready to do. And we're looking forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. And one thing I would like to add is I'd like to thank the council for allowing us to operate out of City Hall. That has been a huge, huge benefit to us. We're able to interact with you guys when you come in and out, which is key and critical. And also just being here to have a space where we don't have to go out and spend money trying to rent a space somewhere else. So it's been a very beneficial. It's caused efficiencies and effectiveness, and I want to let you all know how much we appreciate that. We really do. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them at this time.
Okay. First one is the vegetation part. We, as a city, usually around this time of the year, we spray for the lily pads and the grass and everything that grows up over the winter time and stuff.
Right.
What does your organization, what are they looking at in the way of getting, I mean, it looks good to a point right now, and so there's areas there that we need to spray maybe a little bit more or whatever, but what is your organization looking at with the whole Lake Geneva?
Okay, so our perspective would be a little more global than just spraying. I know the city has a contract with a vendor here that comes in and sprays quarterly or monthly, I can't remember which. But it might be that if the city manager wanted to reach out to him and have some additional spraying done, that might be something that you would do at the city level. But for LRDC, we're looking at the whole lake. As I mentioned earlier, with the potential of, or the possibility of introducing grass carp, or even the possibility of doing some dredging. And that's why I'm meeting with the biologist from FWC next week, is to talk about that.
Okay. The other thing is the Alligator Creek. How do y'all prepare to clean that out? I know in times past we've used prisoners, but then I don't know if we can still do that or not.
Right. So I've had conversations with both the St. Johns River Water Management District as well as the county. And I think we would do it similarly to how it was done 8 to 10 years ago. That we would partner with the district and partner with the county and have some sort of cost share initiative there to get it cleaned out.
Okay. I'm gonna jump back to the vegetation part. Is if I remember right, we have allotted money when we do the vegetation, city manager. We use that portion that we put away for solo
Yes.
every year.
There's, several years ago, the city council voted to put $10,000 into a separate fund with our lakes. And then council later on that year voted to take a contract with Southern Vegetation, which was allotted $250 per quarter to spray the permanent area. It's been my understanding after speaking with that contractor today that there's been there's been conversations outside of the scope of work that was originally agreed upon. He's working on working up that contract because that will cost additional funds. However, we are almost at our maximum of what we're capable of spraying for the beach.
So you're already going out and looking at further extending the area of what we normally do?
He's spraying to our permit, what we are allotted to spray due to our permit with St.
Okay.
Johns River Water Management District and the Florida Fish and Wildlife, DEP, and things of that nature. There could be additional costs associated. He was asked by a member of council to do additional work. And then he's also, once he made me aware of that, he's working up a scope and fee of what that would cost on a regular basis.
Okay, so one of us is doing, okay. So basically, I don't know how to, so what you're saying, somebody from this board, which I mean, that's not our scope of
It was spraying with outside the contracted amount.
Has he
So he's
done it?
Drafting. It didn't cost us any additional dollars. That to my understanding, that spray has been done, but he's working up an amendment to the contract based on the requests that I reached out to him today for.
okay.
Anyone else?
I don't have any questions, but just basically 3 observations. First of all, grass carp, where I used to practice law, we called it Rock River salmon. And there is a huge market, if this is the same type of carp as we had up there, that they ship it, fish it, they ship it east, and they smoke it and they sell it, I think, in the Brooklyn and New York area. So you might want to double check to see if that might be a secondary benefit to doing that.
I certainly will.
Second thing is, you mentioned the TDC, and I spent some time on the TDC, and what I took away from that is that people who are coming to Clay County want small town, they want recreation, they want friendliness, they don't want glitz. And my personal philosophy is we want to try to maintain that. That ties into my third comment. You're doing this on a more or less regional thing, but on the city level, I think we are reviving the planning and zoning, which is a quasi-judicial board. The Growth Management Committee will be active. The Heritage Commission will, I'm sure, have a say in what we do, because we want to try to keep the place looking like it does, or even better.
Sure.
And the council, sort of a synergy effect. Those are the only comments. I think you're very much on the right track. You're going to be doing the regional, and we're going to be doing the more local, and we're going to be talking to each other.
Correct, yes.
Yes.
Anything else?
I've submitted to Vivian, and I think Lynn, and also to you, about a machine that you can rent that it's on floats, that has a blade that you lower down into the water, like a paddle boat wheel behind it, and then it shoots the weeds you've cut into another area, so it doesn't just lay there in the lake.
Right.
Is that another solution you're maybe possibly?
That is one of the things that we'll be discussing with the biologist that comes out next week from Fish and Game.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Mrs. Kelly? No? All right, Mr. Cornegay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
We will move on to events. Our first event is the Kiwanis Parade. The application was in our packet. Are there any questions?
I'll make a
Hang on a second. Mr. Beals, did you want to come up and say anything about the Kiwanis Parade, since you're here?
I think Tina covered it for the most part, but I just think that things have been shut down for a long time, and we've had to waive a lot of the different events, and I think it's about time that we get something going in town again to where we can get people back out and into the public. And I think it's just a good opportunity for us to hopefully okay this parade and start July off real well. So I think it'd mean a lot to the community.
definitely.
Any questions?
The route
Mr.
would be
Beals?
the familiar route that was observed 2 years ago and prior to that, correct?
We're just gonna use the same thing going downtown through, and
Right
back
through the
up
downtown.
onto Flamingo.
Yeah.
So,
I move approval of the request.
Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Item B, yard sale, Azalea Park. That event package was in your packet too. Any questions of staff about this event?
I do. As long as this organization doesn't, my understanding, have what is it, CO or occupational paperwork from the county? What is
Yes,
that
they do
called?
not have their certificate of occupancy yet.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you were here.
That's okay, no problem at all.
Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Roxanne Chilson. I am Laverne Lanier's assistant in gathering all of her paperwork and getting things together for her. We do not have a finalized CO for 205. I have submitted revised paperwork today with all the requirements, and we are progressing on the steps that need to be for our parking lot in order for us to complete receiving the CO on 205.
Okay. Well, my question for the yard sale, if you're wanting to do it in the public park, what are you doing about restrooms? Are you going to have restrooms available? I
That
mean,
was actually going to be a question back to you
No.
as to whether it is a possibility if we could. My first initial would be no, just like any other yard sale that would
Right.
be at a house or anything.
Right.
But if the possibility to have the restrooms at 205 for that door to be open, then we would consider that. But initially, it would be no. It would be just like a yard sale at somebody's house. You come, you look, you buy, and you leave. The reason we wanted to have 205 and have the park across the street from 205 is to let people know that we are in the process of hoping to acquire that building, and that's where this company would be residing in the future. So it was more of the location and the visibility of what we would be planning.
So basically, it's gonna be ran just like a yard sale in your front yard.
Correct, correct.
But
We'll
you're
have a
just-
little bit of snacks, we'll have like maybe some hot dogs and drinks that they can buy only because of the quantity and the fact that it's in a park. And other than that, it's gonna be tables, items out on the tables, price marked, and a little flyer for them to know what Senior Champions is all about and to introduce ourselves to the community.
Okay.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Thank you for coming.
Madam Mayor, if I just may say, Miss Roxanne has been fantastic to work with through the permitting process as she's come on board.
Well, I'm glad to
So
hear that.
Our permitting team has enjoyed being able to communicate with her.
I've spent time with Miss Roxanne, and I think she's going to rock it.
That goes good.
The yard sale would be April 17th.
Thank you. Okay, event C, revival. Is the applicant here? I didn't see the applicant here.
No, Madam Mayor, we have left messages for him to have the opportunity to attend this evening. However, he is not in attendance. But if I just may make one point of clarification, this application, the intentions of this is that they understand that the use of the right-of-way is going to be used more than normal, and that is what triggers our permit process for a special event. In no way, shape, or form is the council doing a motion for his actual event of the revival, as that piece is being taken place on private property. However, the influx of traffic during those 3 days, he expects to increase substantially, and so therefore he's going to be utilizing our right-of-way more than what it's being used on a regular basis.
And that right-of-way is a dirt one-way street.
The right, and the parking and the right-of-way?
Oh, the
Parking on
the
State Road
right-of-way?
21, parking on the side streets as well.
Regarding the event itself, the subject matter of the event, you do have some materials in front of you that I printed out and brought to show that this type of event actually is very strong in the history of Keystone Heights. For 2 years, we were the center of the Florida Chautauqua movement. Chautauqua movement, as you'll see in your paperwork, basically started as a religious movement, and it was very important to the history of Keystone. Just to put this in perspective, if we move forward with something like this, it would be with a historic perspective and no other. And I would ask that these documents be made part of the record.
Then if I'm understanding right, we're not casting a vote for the type of event itself. What staff wants us to look at is the right-of-ways and the extreme use. Is that correct?
That is correct. I do want to make note that this application did come in late last week, so he is still working with our permitting team to ensure that the proper insurance and things are in place. So if it is approved tonight, that I would ask that would be part of your motion, that everything
contingent?
else, insurance and whatnot, is provided prior to the event.
Is there any specific concerns about overusing or using the public right-of-way? Do you have any?
We'll work with him as far as a parking plan goes and things of that nature, making sure that there's appropriate places for all that. I think that was the biggest concern from this event.
Any other questions for staff for this event?
I got a couple. One is the tent that they're talking about, is that going where they presently have the picnic tables? And
It's my understanding that that's going on private property, but I can't speak to on
Okay.
behalf of the applicant.
Questions, Mr. Peebles?
No, ma'am.
I would, it's looking like he's wanting to do this in July. Is that what, I keep hitting the wrong button?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I personally like to have him here to ask him some questions.
Okay.
And if it's in July,
You'll have
we're
another
in
month?
April, he'll have another month. If that's not a conflict with council. I mean,
Is it the will of the
we've
council?
never had, I mean, personally, nothing against what he wants to do. It's just we've never had anything like that that could be pretty big for that area. And there's residents that live right there, and it is the main street. And I would just, I would like Keith to be here so we can
We can request that.
Yeah.
Go to the council, can we table this till next month? Is that what you're proposing?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
That's
Mr.
fine,
Willard?
that's fine with me.
Okay, so let's move this to the May meeting and ask the applicant to be here so we can answer questions.
Just for the record, though, we will not be addressing the subject matter of this event, but only the traffic pattern. Is that the understanding of staff?
His traffic and parking plan,
Yeah.
and then any other safety concerns
Yeah.
that you may have.
Are we going to
for-
require him
Alright.
to have somebody direct traffic and that kind of thing?
That's my point.
So,
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
okay. We're moving on to public hearings. Item A is a resolution 2021-01 FDOT road closure for the 5K. Is there a motion to pass by short title, to read by short title?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Mr. Commando?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Resolution 2021-01, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Keystone Heights, Florida, authorizing the execution of the Florida Department of Transportation temporary road closing permit application, providing for an immediate effective date.
All right, coming back to council, are there any questions of staff of this resolution?
Madam Mayor, this event was heard at the last meeting, so, and it was approved. This is the road closure that accompanies that.
Okay, so we just have to pass it.
I move passage of the resolution.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. We'll move on to resolution 2021-02, FDOT road closure parade. Is there a motion to pass, read by short title?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Mr. Commando?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution 2021-02, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Keystone Heights, Florida, authorizing the execution of the Florida Department of Transportation temporary road closing permit application, providing for an immediate effective date.
All right, is there a motion to pass?
I'll make a motion to pass.
Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. I'm feeling like we're getting up to NASCAR speed now. Right? Okay, resolution 2021-03, Clay County School. Is there a motion to read by short title?
So move.
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Mr. Commando?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Resolution 2021-03, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Keystone Heights, Florida, requesting the Clay County School Board to support the construction and renovation of educational facilities in Keystone Heights and providing an effective date.
Is there any discussion, any questions? Is there a motion on the floor to pass the resolution?
No, I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. And then item D is an ordinance 2021-589, alcohol at the beach. Is there a motion to read by short title?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Seeing none, motion passes 5-0.
To read ordinance number 2021-589, an ordinance of the City of Keystone Heights, Florida, amending.
Excuse me, I voted no.
I thought I heard him.
I said,
I thought I heard it too, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That threw
I
me
did.
off, but
I voted
It was
no.
just to read by title at this
yes,
point.
yes,
Okay. Motion passes 4-1.
thank you.
Thank
I'm
you,
sorry, I
Madam.
didn't hear you. I thought you were just a late yes there.
Yeah, I am
Okay.
slow.
All right.
Ordinance, let me start from the beginning. Ordinance 2021-589, an ordinance of the City of Keystone Heights, Florida, amending Chapter 9, General Regulations, Article 3, City Recreational Parks to allow the consumption of alcohol in the pavilion, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Okay, are there any questions? Any conversation? Mr. Brown?
I still have heartburn about this because my issue with it is I still feel like that if an organization is going to want to have an event down there, they can come and plan their event, but need to come to us for permission to have the alcohol. My fear is that we just open this up, that anybody has that pavilion, they pay for it, and they're allowed to have the alcohol. I still fear that there's going to be people drinking in that playground around kids. That's my biggest fear, and I will not vote for this.
Okay. Any others?
Is there anything in here that sets the mechanics as to how the permit is granted? I understand, Mr. Brown, your point that you would like to have council pass on each application, but is there anything in here that's inconsistent with Mr. Brown's position? I'm asking council.
And I'm looking because I thought the way it was written was the city manager or staff approved.
So in section section 972 under the purpose, it's requested, alcohol is prohibited unless requested in the pavilion rental agreement and approved by city.
That's
So
where
it
it
could be approved during the process of the pavilion rental.
So to be consistent with Mr. Brown's position, you would add the word council after the word city?
Well, you would change it from unless requested in the pavilion agreement and approved by,
The city council.
probably would have to split that out because the city council's not approving the rental agreement. They would really just be approving whether or not you can bring or use alcoholic beverages.
Okay. So that would be an easy amendment, I guess.
Mr. Peebles, any thoughts?
I think that the city staff are quite capable of approving or disapproving a permit in this regard, so I don't think it needs to come to the council.
And I'm okay with the way it's written as well.
Yeah, I am too.
Excellent. Okay, any other discussion? Is there a motion to pass ordinance 2021-589?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
And Madam Mayor, this will come back to council for second reading.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes 3-2. All right. Moving on. We are now involved with the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from March 2021 meeting and the financials and payables of February. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. All right, we're up to appointments. We have one appointment to make this evening. That would be the Keystone Heights Airport Authority, seat 3. We have 3 applicants. Those applications were included in your packet. I hope you have a chance to.
Do the resolution for the school board.
Yes, we can do that. I have that. Okay, so Ms. Rakowski is reminding me that we want to make sure the school board gets our resolution. So Ms. Bullock, if you'd like to come up here, council, can you come down on the floor so that we can present this as a united front? Signed, sealed for you. It's a good thing you're short, Mary. You missed out. There's nothing in there, so. You come by Ms. Mary. Okay. You come by Ms. Mary? Yes, I'll talk to you. We're pleased to present this to a member of the school board to take it back to your school board. I look forward to helping you present that in the month of June. And so here's our resolution in support of the Ed First Plan.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. And just to give you an update, over spring break, there were 2 water mains that broke at the elementary school. And that's not the first time that's happened. So fortunately, it happened over spring break, so they were good to repair it. But this is the this is kind of what we're dealing with all the time, and I'm calling it affectionately not the Ed First Plan, but the Crisis First Plan. That we get moved up when it's a crisis, and we need to stop that, and it needs everybody here and the whole community to work toward this. So I'm very grateful to the city council. Thank you so very much for supporting this. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you very much.
All right. That's the end of your exercise today, guys.
Yes.
Here, I'll hold it. That's why you should be short like me.
Got it?
Thank you.
All right, now we're on to appointments. Let's see.
Madam Mayor, we have one applicant that is here in person, and we also have one on Zoom. Mr. Dean Brock is joining us via Zoom.
Okay, so do we want each one to come up and share a little bit about themselves? Council, how would you like to deal with the applications? Would you like to hear from people? They're here, they're making time for us.
Yes.
Okay, so first up, ladies first. Miss Shelley Gibbs, would you like to come forward, please?
Good evening.
You can pull the mic down for you, there you go.
Good evening. Thank you for seeing me. I just wanted the opportunity to share in the community and maybe see what I could do to help the city further their airport facility and the development in that area. I've been in this area for 33 years now, and I love the city. So,
Thank you.
any questions?
Any questions for Miss Shelley?
No.
What do you, I know that you've been in banking for a long time, but other than the banking part of it, what do you see your strong points being for being on the board?
Well, just knowing a lot of people in the community, being able to help out in that area. I don't know a whole lot about aviation, but I'm willing to learn. And I'm excited about the development that they're doing out there and what businesses that they're going to bring to the area.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With your banking background, you probably have a good handle on various forms of investments and things that the air park might get involved in if that were to be necessary. Is that a correct statement?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think that's all we
I
have
know
for you.
Shelley.
Thank you, Miss Shelley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Dean Brock.
Hello.
Mr. Brock,
How's my voice coming through?
can you share a little bit about yourself with us, please?
Yes. I'm 50 years old. I've been an airport attendant for 7 years now. I am extremely happy and impressed with the airport management. And I think they do a great job. It's an honor to be even considered for this. It's an honor to be able to speak to you tonight. It's also I've also had an opportunity to see Shelley at work on the board, and she was very impressive when I saw that. But basically, I bring a lot of aviation expertise, and I know Shelley and Bruce have a lot of administrative expertise and community expertise. My wife and I have been in town for almost 7 years, and we have been involved in aviation since we were very, very young. Both of our dads worked for the FAA. I chose to go into private enterprise side of aviation. And I've made my living as either a aircraft mechanic or a corporate pilot since I was 18.
Excellent. So is that all you wanted to say, Mr. Brock?
Yes, and I welcome any questions.
I was going to open it up for questions. Anyone have questions for Mr. Brock?
Well, just to make it fair, and my understanding, your strong points, which you pretty much answered, but we do have a lot going on at the airport. I've watched that airport from the 70s all till now to see the difference and see the improvements to way over 100% improvements in that airport, and they're not even really got started yet with different opportunities. But what's your strong point in sitting on that board as a board member?
Okay, I have strong feelings about airport security. I think MHD Rockland would probably benefit for a little bit of a elevation in airport security. That doesn't mean we need to get ridiculous. We're not going to be an airline served airport, and we don't need to have that kind of security. But the security in aviation is very important to me, and so is, of course, that leads to safety. But I also have strong feelings about the airspace and about the instrument approaches and keeping that instrument approach capability. 3 years ago, we had 2 instrument approaches. Now we're down to 1. And we're going to attract the kind of tenants that I think you'd like to see, and the kind of businesses in the community that will use corporate aircraft that will be based at the airport. I think the integrity of that instrument approach that we do have remaining is really important. And the restricted area, Camp Landing, is part of that equation. So I just want to make sure that we can preserve that to the best of our ability and keep that instrument approach that we still have.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else with questions?
I have a question of legal counsel first. Correct me if I'm wrong, City Attorney, but is this not a quasi-municipal entity that would be subject to conflict of interest and the ethics concerns?
Yeah, every appointed board member has to deal with.
So if an issue came up as far as the amount of rents that a tenant were paying, would a person who is a tenant have to recuse him or herself because of a direct pecuniary interest? It's at least arguable.
It's arguable. I think it depends on, those are very fact-specific determinations that the airport, as their own attorney, would have to advise on.
This is directed to the applicant. Applicant, if the question were to come up about raising or decreasing rents and you were affected, how would you handle that?
Well, you have to have enough money coming in to cover the expenses.
No, would you vote? Would you vote on it? That's my question. Would you vote?
Well, the other issue too, I just want to interrupt. There are other tenant members on the board.
I understand. I
Okay.
understand, and I'm just concerned as to this applicant, what he would do if the question of rent increase or decrease were to come up and it affected him directly.
Well, rent increases are necessary. That's just a fact of life. If we didn't have any inflation, then obviously we would try to avoid it. And it's always good to reduce expenses so that we can avoid it also.
So I think
we have to cover the expenses.
So I think your answer is you would consider it and you would vote on it? You would feel compelled to do so? All right. Thank you. Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, any further
I have a question for Mr. Kirkland. How many female members do you have on the board?
Good evening, council. At this time, we have no females on the board at this time.
I think it's about time.
We have a heavy staff of females. Our airport manager is Miss Maria Hitt, and that's unusual in the aircraft and airport business. So,
No disrespect to the male candidates, I think maybe we need a female. It's time for a female on the board. That's my opinion.
And Madam Mayor, if I just may interject with that, this is, I think, I believe that this is the first time that we've had a female applicant. So I don't know that it's from, I don't want an event to be shed on council. It's just that this is the first time that a female has applied. It hasn't been, that they have not been appointed.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, if I may, could I just share some information? First of all, I want to express my appreciation to the applicants for their willingness to serve on the Keystone Heights Airport Authority. Each one of them brings a unique set of qualifications, experiences, backgrounds, and ideas, as you've seen, that was reflected in their applications. I would like to share some points of information for the council to consider. Vice Mayor Hart touched on this. 3 of our current board members are T-Hangar tenants. Mr. Brock is also a T-Hangar tenant. And I think that maybe that's something you should take into consideration, that in the event we had to vote on something that dealt with T-Hangars, there could be an issue where we couldn't vote because 4 of the 7 would have to recuse themselves. So obviously we couldn't take any action in that area. Miss Shelley Gibbs, good friend, good business friend to the airport. She's branch manager of Ameris Bank. The airport does business and have accounts with Ameris. We've worked with Ms. Gibbs and some of her other associates from Ameris on bridge gap funding a couple of years ago, as well as additional financial issues. She has been very helpful in that area. In the event that we had a vote for some financial aspect, then she would have to recuse herself, obviously. And we also have signatures. We have 2 signatures on all of our checks, but we have other board members that can sign. So I don't see that as being a particular issue. I've read through all of the applications. I know Dean personally. I've flown with Dean. He's a great flight instructor. I've known him for several years, and I've known Shelley for several years. My recommendation is to appoint Mr. Bruce Harvin. He served as the city council liaison to the airport when he served on the city council. He's experienced in safety and security, managing special events, and not being a tenant resolves any of the potential perception of a tenant-heavy board. But I present that to you for your consideration. Any questions for me?
And I did make contact with Mr. Kirkland and asked his recommendation for his board because he knows his board better and best than I do. And I would be comfortable with any 3 of these people. It's kind of a luxury of, choices to have 3 people to choose from. We normally don't have 2. So
That's correct.
So this is kind of one of those things. I wish we had a spot for everyone who wants to serve because the airport's kind of a cool little place. But we can only make one recommendation for this seat, and hopefully the 2 that are not appointed will look to us in the future as future seats come up and challenge someone else for a new seat. So
I'd like to tie in a little bit with what Mr. Carnegie talked about, and we addressed as far as the challenges that the city is going to have in the planning area. And we know that Mr. Harvin has been appointed to planning and zoning. I would be a little concerned that we would be stretching Mr. Harvin a little too thin in a time when his talents will be also needed in planning and zoning. That's not a conflict, yeah, certainly he can serve in that capacity, but do we want to tie up the time of a person who we're really going to need to do heavy-duty planning in the 18 months? I'm throwing that out just as a rhetorical question.
Well, I believe he's retired.
He is retired. Yep, he is retired.
Has a little bit of time.
Retired people tend to have busier schedules than when they work.
That can be true. That's all right. That's all true.
Amen.
So what is the pleasure of the council in terms of this appointment? I will support Mr. Kirkland's recommendation.
Bruce Harvey? I do too.
I make a motion that we take and place Mr. Harvin on the airport board to fulfill this seat that's open.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Motion passes 4-1. And we do thank you, Mr. Brock, Ms. Gibbs. It was awesome to have 3 people to have to think about in terms of what the board needs and what the match should be. And we really do hope you come back.
Shelley, planning and zoning does have a couple of openings, so we should consider.
You gotta live inside the city limits.
There's some homes for sale inside the city limits
Yeah.
that she could potentially move to, as well as Mr.
Does
Brock,
she-
so that they could serve on planning and
That-
zoning.
I won't go there.
Kind of folded that in easy there, didn't you, Ms. Rakowski?
Just wanted to make sure.
Okay. All right, so let's go to, this is kind of a long meeting, and this next item, I looked at the material that staff was able to comprise, and this is another one I'd really kind of like to send back to staff for more information. Is there a possibility of just touching base with the Florida League of Cities and asking for best practices?
So we have made several phone calls out of this office to a various number of municipalities, and what we've found, we just kind of did the highlights here. What we found is that most do not have a policy set in place, that it's really just a common sense nature. We have had several conversations to where they do cap it as an individual. Once you go over that cap, that it's paid out of your pocket, and then there was a couple that took everything that they spent to council. So we've had a very wide variety. What we found from many municipalities is that they did not have a policy set in place.
As far as the allowances in here, basically, those were taken directly from the IRS code as applied to federal employees and on the per diem basis. So it's not like we're trying to have talent spend a lot of their own money if they're going to a seminar. It just seems to make sense that we clarify this right now. It's kind of a jumbled up situation where we've got a blanket, almost like a block grant, and we don't really know how that's being spent, by whom, and I'm not criticizing anybody. It's just, I think it's good to have it in writing as to what's going to happen, so that people can predict how much money they're going to have to have their educational needs met.
Anybody else have strong feelings about this item?
I like the idea of just capping it, like at $1,200 for a year, and we keep up. I mean, budget and finance keeps up with it. Our accounting department keeps up with it, and you know what you're spending the money on. When you get to that $1,200, you're done, or you're going to pay for it yourself.
I agree with that.
So, I think $1,200 is a fair amount to send somebody to the League of Cities classes. And
Actually, do you know how much that ends up being, Ms. Rakowski, for one class?
For the Florida League of Cities Conference?
Yes.
I believe that the stay alone takes up about half of that, and then registration is right around $500 if I recall off the top of my head. So for the full conference amount, so you'll hit your $1,200 right away, and then there's potential to go over just a little bit, but I don't have the exact figures.
Then I would suggest raising it to about $1,500, just so you cover all your expenses, because that first conference is like 3 days.
And we can handle that, the council can handle that through the budget. If, what I do hear most often is that the council would like to, as once upon a time, it was better to combine all of the contingencies, because there was only a couple that were going to places that you'd like to see that separated out and give specific allotment to an individual. And we can handle that through the budgetary cycle. And we don't have to set that can be done per year, and consult through our budget.
And it could be a possibility too that a council person like myself, who doesn't go to these, could allow the transfer of the excess funds in one person's account over to someone who's gonna be running short. I think that would be a very collegial thing to do, and do that internally. It wouldn't cost the taxpayers anymore.
You could do that in the way
Do
of
it
budget
in a
amendment
in a
motion.
casual way, yeah.
We, Vice Mayor, we did that in the past years,
Did you?
way past years.
How'd that
But
work out?
it came to council for the adjustment
Okay.
and an amendment, so.
Okay, so what's the pleasure of the council for this particular item today?
I like the cap at $1,500 and allocate an extra $500 to the mayor.
Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. All right, we are done with contingency. We're moving on to committee reports. Nothing to report in budget and finance, correct, Mr. Brown?
No, I have nothing.
Okay. Growth management, Vice Mayor Hart.
No report tonight.
Okay. Mr. Kirkland, would you like to come back up, please, and share with us the ATPT?
Yes, Madam Mayor, and for the public that doesn't know what ATPT is, that's As the Propeller Turns.
Yes.
It's not a soap opera, but it's a real busy day-to-day environment. Thank you again for the opportunity to come and share with you. Before I share the ATPT, I would like to just recognize Mr. David Nichols. He is the board member who decided not to run again. And there's some personal reasons there, health issues with his wife. So I just wanted to express appreciation for the service that Mr. Nichols provided while on the Keystone Heights Airport Authority Board. And I just want to mention just a few major accomplishments, and these are major. Mr. Nichols was instrumental in getting a new traffic pattern, actually two traffic patterns, one for both runways, approved through the FAA, which is no small task. If you've dealt with any large bureaucracy, the FAA, it's difficult sometimes to get things done, but he persevered. And with that, it improves the safety to air traffic when our aerobatic box is in use in the center of the airfield. Mr. Nichols also worked with the airport's attorneys in resolving ownership of Wings of Dreams aircraft assets with the FAA. Again, that was a paperwork nightmare that he worked through and got that resolved. And then Mr. Nichols also has been working with Camp Blanding on proposed restricted areas. You may not know this, but over the Camp Blanding area, especially their firing range area, up through several thousand feet, there's a restricted airspace. And Camp Blanding had come to the airport a few months back asking to expand that even further. And we appreciate them coming, and then it afforded us an opportunity to have input about that. So again, Mr. Nichols was instrumental in working with them on that project. While we will miss Mr. Nichols as aviation chair, the Keystone Heights Airport Authority, we presently have 3 board members who are pilots. They're familiar with aviation regulations and airport safety. These directors are also members of various aviation pilots associations, and in the event that we have a question that perhaps we can't answer, then we can always use those resources as well as the FAA to get answers to those questions. And again, special thanks to Mr. Nichols for his contributions. March in review, Earthworks, contractor that has been working at the airport, has completed phase 1 of the apron rehabilitation project. That's consisting of moving concrete from one of the hangar floors that was impacted because of the use of Easy Base at the time of construction. Phase 2 immediately began, which also consists of the removal of Easy Base and existing asphalt from the apron area. Once that is completed, the contractor will move on to 2 other hangars consisting of the same process, and that estimated time could be mid to late June. Happy to report the Air Op Spring Turkey Gobbler Hunt was a was a success at the airport, March 19th through the 21st. It was a success for the turkeys because they didn't bag any turkeys. Our board member, Chad Richard, he hosted 4 veterans for that weekend, and the turkeys evaded the hunters, but they had a great time of camaraderie and some pretty good weather. So we appreciate Mr. Richard. I think this is the 15th year that the airport has been involved with the Air Ops mission and working with Forestry Service and other entities to provide these types of outings for wounded warriors. So it's been a really great thing. The Keystone Heights Airport Authority bylaws were approved at the March 6th board meeting and have been provided to the city for record. The airport was once again excited to welcome Governor DeSantis and his family on Thursday. We received news late Wednesday, which is very unusual. We typically get a 24-hour notice from FDLE, and they come out and do security checks. But we'd gotten that news late Wednesday that he and his family would be arriving mid-afternoon to attend the Clay County Fair. Airport staff bundled up that chilly day and gave DeSantis' family and his staff a warm welcome. Even hot dog vendor Joni Miller offered everyone a free hot dog. So another unique thing. Upcoming for April, Miss Maria has scheduled a meeting with both Clay and Bradford County Emergency Management, Sheriff's Office personnel, city manager, and other event coordinators to discuss the upcoming events late this year. Those 2 events are the Crawlin' for the Fallen Jeep event, which brought in thousands last year, and now this new event, the Nitro Rallycross event. They're proposing 10 to 20,000 people. So this will be the first of many meetings to formulate plans which will keep all spectators, participants, as well as the local community safe and secure. The meeting is set for April the 21st at 2 p.m., and it will be held there in the airport conference room. Another significant event that's coming up is a DEO Jobs Growth Grant meeting that we will be having April the 8th. All of the stakeholders will meet to discuss the progress of the environmental assessment, which is scheduled to complete sometime in late summer. We will continue to report to the council as the project progresses. Any questions?
Excellent report. Thank you so much.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you.
And you know, I think your hunters need to learn how to, do better turkey calls or something like that. Can somebody call the turkeys better?
I don't know. I wasn't there, so I don't know.
Oh, see, I think it's the turkey caller. All righty. We're up to planning and zoning.
Madam Mayor, I do have 2 items real quick, just for visibility purposes. I have had a meeting with what was formerly known as the Temples property, which we will kindly refer to now as the Roberts development, over there off of Fox Run in 21. They're looking at moving forward and will be submitting their plans for our development review committee here in the next month. I've also met with a development called Country Meadows, which is looking at the 13.88 acres that is currently owned by Mr. Flesh. He would like to do a pre-hearing so that he can reach out to the community and have conversations with council in a public setting about the opportunity of bringing 76 mobile homes on that 13 acres, and then what that does to our taxes, and then what the community buy-in is. So those 2 things will be coming up in the next 30 to 60 days.
So we're looking at 205 planned units at,
We're looking at approximately, well, the number of homes that's going to be at the Roberts development has gone down a little bit as they've moved from multifamily homes to single-family homes. We're looking at right about 200 homes there, and then a potential of up to 76. He does have to revise his plans as he did not meet minimum lot requirements for rezoning on the 13.88 acres, but between 70 and 76 mobile homes over there off of Sunrise.
okay, so that's on the table.
So we're certainly going to need our schools up to speed if we're going to have 275 new homes. Yes.
With that being said, anybody who has any interested candidates that live within inside the city limits for planning and zoning, that would be very, very helpful, as Mr. Harvin right now is our only committee member, or our board member.
Well, Mr. Hart, you're famous for being able to field commissions. Can you kind of like step up your game?
I can go out and talk to some people,
There you go.
twist some arms maybe.
All right. Is there anything you need to report from the Heritage Commission?
No report.
Okay. We are on city business, new business. Ms. Rakowski, would you like to address the city engineer contract?
Yes, if you recall from last month, Michael Baker Engineering was asking to consider redoing their fee schedule. After conversations with Michael Baker, in lieu of conversations we had with the city attorney in both the airport, was that it might be in the best interest of the city to go out to bid, as their contract will be up in June. We are looking to add additional services, and Mr. Kirkland, forgive me, we've had conversations about this and I keep following it up. I believe that it's construction inspection services are needed at the airport. Yes? Hey, I got it. Okay. Construction inspection services are going to be needed at the airport. It's required by the FAA. It's an inspection that's done on their engineer, AECom, so their engineering services will not be able to provide it. I'd also like to extend our scope and fee to include GIS mapping services. This is something that the airport would also like to piggyback off of. And then we will be in need of surveying services that for our Keystone Airport as well. And so with the introduction of those services, I think that it'd probably be wise under the direction of Mr. Commando to go ahead and revise the bid that was placed 3 years ago and send that back out.
Any comments from,
You need a motion for that?
I do.
I'll make that motion. Mayor.
okay, any second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. And we are on the Joan Jones Memorial. You'll remember last month we had several presenters who were interested in preserving a plaque of some kind for Ms. Jones for her work on Wreaths Across America and other things that she's done for veterans in our community over many, many years. And so they brought the idea to us. I know Ms. Gilda is here. Ms. Gilda, did you want to add anything today?
Just that I would like to see at least the approval to present the plaque, to have the plaque put in the cemetery, not only just for the Veterans Memorial Parkway, all the other work, and most everyone here knows how much time and effort has been put into that by Ms. Jones and other members of the community also. So we just felt like that it was something that would be appropriate to do for her and to thank her for everything that she's done to improve the cemetery.
Right. And you had an estimate for the cost of the monument?
I did. The company that I contacted are very favorable to veterans, and so the initial cost was going to be $780.95, and they are giving us a special price because of veterans for $624.87. It will be a bronze plaque with raised letters, 16 by 16, and will be put on one of the center at the back of the parkway, one of the brick planters on the side of that. So.
And if I remember correctly, did you not already collect some money for that particular?
I had 2 donations already.
Okay, so what's the balance that you need from city council?
I just got one tonight, so let me check. Okay, there's not a specific amount on this one, but the first one was $200. The initial donation that was told to me after the last meeting was $200.
So are you looking at raising money? Are you going to ask for money from the city?
The thing was, Mr. Brown, is that we weren't sure if you would cover all of it, if it was in the budget for the city to do this, to give us permission to do that and cover the cost. If not, then yes, there is a plan to defray any expenses by a fundraiser or donation through people in the community.
Mayor, I'll jump out real quick. Now, Ms. Jones and I go back a long ways. Some good, a lot good. I put a lot good, and some not so good. But she has done a lot for the veterans. And she did our moon tree presentation. It was right up here by the library. I'll make a motion that we go ahead with the plaque to be put in the cemetery there where you're designating on the planter. And with that motion, I'd like to see the city put $400 towards the plaque.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Brown to provide $400 in funding for a bronze plaque for Ms. Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you so very much. That means an awful lot to a lot of people in this community.
I hope it makes her smile.
I hope it makes her
I
smile.
hope. I want to see her big smile.
I can assure you after numerous conversations that she will be more than pleased.
Awesome.
And I think it definitely is well earned on her part.
Absolutely. Yep, I agree. So happy the council could do that for her. I think
Yes, thank you very much.
it's well deserving. Okay, so moving on. We are at now item C, Keystone Heights Volunteer Fire Department property, and we're going to let Mr. Commando and Ms. Rakowski take over this one. Thank you all for coming. Whoever came from Ms. Joan, if you're leaving now, thank you, Mr. Gayward. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming.
Oh, my pleasure.
And he was one of the donators. He is the one who publicly said he would donate.
The only comment I got, and I know y'all's chairs are a lot softer than these out here.
Thanks for coming, sir. All right, so we'll return to Mr. Commando and Ms. Rakowski.
Madam Mayor, I received an email followed up by a phone call about some records that needed to be corrected. Apparently, when there was a quick deed that was giving the city back its property, too much of the land was deeded over, and so they're looking at potential sale of that property. They would like to have their deed corrected. In your packets are the documents that I was provided.
And it was just an incorrect legal description. However, in an abundance of caution, I advised staff that that should come before the council for a corrected deed, not something staff should approve.
So it looks like there was a 32-foot error made in the original deed. Is that what we're doing, is cleaning that up?
Yes, sir.
Any questions of council or Ms. Rakowski?
I have one question. If we approve this,
Did it?
I know. Thank goodness I'm not a realtor. But how long does this take? How long does that take to have that done?
We can have the deed drawn up and signed tomorrow, and then it has to be recorded.
Okay.
With our property, with our experience with the cemetery, it takes a week to 2 weeks to have that taken care of.
Okay.
All right, do you need a motion? Is there a motion to correct the deed at the volunteer fire station?
I'll make a motion to correct the deed.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right, and I bring to your attention, we do have Lake Region Development Corporation office space on the agenda today, and just making people aware because I was not, and I was getting lots of phone calls about why Mr. Cornegay is still up at City Hall. So it's kind of like, I thought we could have a discussion and make sure everybody's on the same page on why he's up here at City Hall.
Who's calling?
I
Who's
don't know.
objecting?
I have had several.
I'm not asking for names, but give me a number.
That's ridiculous.
About 4 or 5 in 1
4 or
week.
5.
In 1 week,
Okay.
which was kind of odd.
Okay. Do you have a personal opinion on it?
No, I just think that council should make a decision about whether or not that's something that we want to do with our city space.
Well, based on the remarks that were made earlier, that it seems to be working quite well, this gives Mr. Cornegay and others contact with people that they have to deal with the city. It would make sense if there is space available to let them use it. I mean, it is affiliated with the city, loosely, but affiliated.
Yeah, you're right. I just
Right.
want to make sure, because taxpayer dollars are involved,
I hear
and
you.
so,
I'm perfectly okay with keeping status quo.
I
Okay.
agree.
I am too.
I agree.
Tony, I'm sorry, I didn't hear Mr. Brown.
I agree.
All right. So do you want just build consensus and say that's okay, or do you want something more formal? Okay, excellent. All righty then, consensus it is. And then we added an item under new business, PADL LLC.
Madam Mayor, Ms. Mary and I sat on a conference call today with Paddle LLC. This is a contract that was recently awarded by the county, and I'd like to take this opportunity to bring it in front of council so that we may piggyback off of this contract. This is the paddle board vending machine, if you will. It's a self-serve. You can go up there with an app. You can rent a paddle board. The fees are roughly about $15 an hour. They do have a monthly subscription for $25 that you can rent a paddleboard and go out on the lake for up to 2 hours every day. This is something that would be of no cost to the city of Keystone Heights. Their kiosk, which you can see up here in this picture, is self-sustained, self-sufficient. It has its own security cameras. It comes with insurance from the company itself, and we will be put on that policy. In our conversations this morning, this is absolutely no upfront to the city of Keystone Heights. No maintenance is going to be required for the city of Keystone Heights, and then we will receive 15 to 20% of the rental profits. Will come back to the city of Keystone Heights, which, due to the area that we're going to place in the park, will go right back into that park. With that being said, the conversation this morning said that if we wanted to go ahead and take action, which would be direction from council for me to work with Mr. Commando and the county to go ahead and move forward off of their existing contract, we can sign our own agreement and then have one in place as early as June.
I like it.
I love it. I'll beat you on that one.
Huh.
When they,
I love it more.
man, my request is nobody takes pictures when I'm practicing.
So
It was bad enough on the pickleball
It was
thing.
bad on the pickleball.
This is
bad
an
on-
all paddleboard unit. However, they are working for kayaks, and so it does hold up to 4 individual paddleboards. Later on in the year, they suspect that they'll have the kayaks that will fit into this, and then we'll convert 2 of those to kayaks as well.
This is a profit-making LLC. They're into this to make a profit, and I think you said we would glean 20% of the net profits. It might be interesting to see how that is calculated and what sort of availability their records are to us, just to confirm it in case a question arises.
Sure.
Those would be 2 concerns I would have.
All right, so I think moving forward, if we could get a motion here tonight, we could at least allow Mr. Commando and Ms. Rakowski to move forward and check it out. And if there's if there's a flag that comes up, then Mr. Commando could bring it back to us. But if there are no flags, then we give them the right to go forward. And
We'll have a ribbon cutting ceremony in June.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Commando?
The contract will still come back for you to be approved.
Okay, and I'll second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. All right, on to council comments. Mr. Brown, do you have anything for us tonight?
I'll just share a little bit of, thank you for taking care of the issue we had with the property at the fire department. We do have a buyer. And as you know, that us being a nonprofit, we have to do the same as what the Lions Club did. And we're already prepared to break out a web page for that, for nonprofits in the community, to take advantage of that. It is a sad day. I mean, I spent most of Saturday afternoon up there going through stuff, and I was already telling Vice Mayor that we have a lot of historical stuff, letters that date back to the 50s when the fire department was established and everything, that I'll be sharing with them for the Heritage Commission. The other thing is tomorrow night will be our last board meeting that we ever hold in that firehouse. And if you hear any wailing or anything, you'll know where it's coming from. But I'll just say the board, we looking at all this history stuff. I've given some to Todd to put over in the museum over there. It really reflects on how this community started and the backbone of this community from years ago, and the first fire department we ever had, to the fire that took down our Keystone Inn across the street. It's just a lot of men and women have got up in all hours of the night to answer a call. And unfortunately, being a small community, a lot of those calls were friends and that we had to deal with. But that's all I have to say for tonight.
Okay, Mr. Peoples.
I have 3 or 4 here. First of all, I want to say, before the rumor mill begins, that I have no animus toward Mr. Harvin. Mr. Harvin is well qualified for the job. My vote was merely to support Ms. Gibbs for the position. I think a woman does need to be on the board eventually, and we need to work on that. Second, the highway designation bill, the Veterans Honor Highway, has been merged with committee substitute Senate Bill 1034. There's 11 or 12 other highway designations and interchange designations, and that's what they typically do. The legislature, they combine all the highway designation bills and interchange designation bills and put them on one bill so that it's easier to pass. They don't have to pass 12 individual bills. They pass one bill. Carts and mini bikes. I'm going to say this on my last day here on the council, that if we don't get a handle on this, it's going to be a problem. It is exponentially blown up. There are more and more mini bikes, children riding mini bikes, more and more children driving go-karts. I'm not talking about registered, licensed scooters and things like that, which I have one, but I'm talking about children on mini bikes, children on motorcycles, children on golf carts, all hours of the day. I'm talking about after dark. We need to get a handle on that before something happens, before we have a tragedy here. And my last thing is I appreciate very much serving the citizens of Keystone Heights in my 3 years. I've learned a lot, and thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Kelly?
No, I don't have anything to say.
Okay.
I have a couple things and they're related. First of all, I'd like to compliment staff, Kenny and his crew, for the condition of the park, the beach, for the Kiwanis Sunrise service the other morning. And I think the word is probably out that $4,600 and some change is going to Lamb as a direct result of us being able to do that. So thank you. The second thing, I've had several citizens, one who happens to be in the room, asking when is the beach going to open? And you may be going to address that in your comments, but we'd like to hear what you have to say. Thank you.
And I'm just appreciative. I got my second COVID shot last week, and it knocked me out for 3 days. Okay, so I was happy to come back feeling good. So everybody get your COVID shots, okay? Just get your COVID shots. Let's do what we can to get everybody
Mine
over here.
they didn't bother me.
I know, I don't know what, my
Nothing
dear,
at all.
knocked me out 3
It's
days.
because of what you are.
Anyway, we will move on. Ms. Rakowski, you have any comments today?
I added in your packet the letter from Representative Payne that Ms. Tammy Steele read at her unveiling at the pavilion. That's there for your visibility, that was dropped off. To address the comments and the probably the most frequently asked question was, when is the beach going to open? The fence is going to be finished being installed later on this week. We also have Miller Electric coming in to get eyes back on our beach. We've had them down for quite some time when we went through these renovations as the beach was locked down. We are installing later on this week the use of magnetic locks, so our park will be secured. You will not be able to gain access after 10 o'clock at night, and you will not be allowed back in until 6:30 the following morning. There will be a code that will be given to our first responders in case there is an emergency out there. However, a long answer to your very specific question is we're looking at hopefully next week. We will be able to finish securing our generator underneath the pavilion and moving forward with opening that up and giving that back to the public. We've addressed the paddleboard and the kayaking. I also wanted to let you know that we do have eyes on the new I was gonna say, Howard's got it in my head, CARES 2.0, but the new, the new HEROES Act or Recovery Act and what that's going to mean for the city of Keystone Heights. So I'm going to ask council to please email me project-specific lists on things that you would like to see funds go for infrastructure. I'm not looking in any way, shape, or form to go ahead and make decisions on this, but that way I can, when we do have dollars and cents in mind, we will be able to talk about projects that we see around our community. And that's all I have at this moment, Madam Mayor.
Question for you.
Sure.
How about swimming at the beach? When are we going to open swimming at the beach?
Oh, I apologize for that too. So we received our reports back from water testing, and I am very, very pleased to announce that we are safe to open. Not only are we safe, but our levels, any dangerous amounts are very, very low. So we are in good shape. That'll be opening up as soon as we get our swimming area, our designated swimming area back up and going.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm going to be on the council at the next meeting, so I'm just going to tell you what I would like to see down there. I'd like to see a splash park for the little kids.
Okay. Well, if you'll email me those, and then we can, it's
Okay.
going to be several, it's going to be a
Okay.
couple meetings down the road, but
All
we'll
right.
be talking about that later on this calendar
Okay.
year.
All right.
All right.
I have a question.
Question, Mr. Brown?
Downtown.
Yes.
We're coming to the, my understanding, probably the end of the streetscapes when they come back in and fix it.
I hope so.
What is our plans to, for the, where all the sand is downtown?
Yes, so there will be a phase two, and this is something that we've had conversations of years prior when this journey began under Mr. Cornegay, is that we will be going for landscaping. Madam Mayor has requested a walk downtown to look at what potential landscapes will look like. So we'll be addressing that moving.
Can we do that as a workshop? Can
Sure.
Can we do,
We
can
have
y'all
a-
plan that?
We have a date set already.
The Friday the 16th, and we're doing that at 9 a.m., hopefully to beat the heat. So is that
Yeah.
something that we want to do an advertised workshop and a walking workshop? We've done that with
Would you
CRA
like to do a
before.
walking workshop, Ms. Kelly? Okay.
What time? 9?
9 a.m.
It's Friday, April 16th?
Friday, April 16th at 9 a.m.
Okay.
And
Can
I
we get
do
you
have-
something you could ride on?
I apologize. There are a couple more.
Don't
Yeah.
challenge her, okay?
Say a wheelchair.
I mean, you know, it's hard enough sometimes.
There are just a couple of things. I do want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Beals for opening up their building across the street. Our Welcome Center is open. They did have their grand opening. Friday. It was very well attended, and it's starting to look really nice over there, so we'll continue to work with tourism. I'll advertise that meeting, and I think that's everything.
All right. Anything else to come before us?
I just, as a councilman, I would thank Mr. Peoples for your service. I mean, it takes a lot for people sometimes to take the time to, even though we get a very small paycheck, you're still, you're volunteering, basically, to serve the people of this community. And I appreciate all your efforts and all your achievements since you've been on the council for 3 years.
Thank you.
And I will echo that and encourage Mr. Peoples to stay active within the city in some capacity. I'm sure you will.
Planning and zoning's looking for some folks, I hear.
Yeah, planning and zoning.
And I've been on that twice, so
Yeah.
I have expertise in that.
All right.
That's what we need.
Anything else from anyone? Mr. Commando, I didn't get to you.
I have nothing else to add, but thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, meeting's adjourned.